This is Will Montgomery, former Washington Redskins center.
Yo, what's good, folks? This is Trey Johnson, the headbanger, yo, and you're listening to Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted. Word.
What's up, Riley? How you doing, man?
Ooh, man, I wish Mother Nature could make up her mind whether she wants it to be warm or cold or whatever have you, because right now we're in this crux of the unknown, man. I mean, right when I start to say I can put my clothes away, I gotta bring them back out, man. But other than that, hey, I'm happy to be amongst the living, brother. So I'm good. How you doing? That's the question.
I'm good, man. Trust me, I hear you on Mother Nature. I was out at the pickleball court till about 9:30 last night, and once that sun goes down, man, it is chilly. So I'm running around as much as I possibly can to stay warm, and it was just kind of frustrating. And I went back this morning at 8 o'clock, and luckily this time we played indoors at 8 o'clock this morning, so I didn't have to worry about it. But yeah, it'd be nice if she could kind of calm down here because I'm looking outside my window and it is cold and rainy and nasty. And I could have sworn it was like 65 just a couple days ago, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, anytime that you can see your breath, you know it's chilly outside. So, but hey, we got to do what we got to do. We got to go through this little bad period of time to get to the good. But I got to tell you, I'm wondering what the temperature is going to be in Detroit next month.
Uh-oh. We got
Hmm.
a little teaser about that for the end of the show. For
Hmm.
those of you listening, make sure you, I
Hmm.
mean, granted, you should always stick around till the end of the show, but it's what, less than a month away, man. And I can't wait.
Yeah,
But something that is around the corner, Nats home opener. You ever been out there, man, for a home opener?
I have been, and it's been many, 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 many moons ago. I want to say like 2009. I want
Damn.
to say, yeah,
Was
yeah.
that at RFK or was that the new place?
Uh, that was at the new place, I want to say.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember when they opened the new stadium.
Yeah. I want to say it was at the new place.
If you're not doing anything Monday, if any of our listeners aren't doing anything Monday, I'll be out there 11 o'clock, day drinking, hanging out, smoking cigars for Nats opening day. So I don't
Lucky
expect
you.
the team. Yeah. Hope my boss isn't listening, but I don't expect the team to do anything this year. But opening day is something that I just, God willing, I'd never miss. It's, just a fun day. Even if you don't like baseball, you're just
Yeah.
out there. It's a day game. I just hope that it's not like it is today, cold and rainy and disgusting. There have been a couple opening days where I'm wearing
Yeah.
my Under Armour, like thermal gear from Commanders games out there, but fingers crossed she's good. And I'll be out there smoking a cigar, hanging out the bullpen probably, and out at Walters and just shooting the S around the stadium. So they announced a bunch of new food offerings, and I'm hoping Josh Harris and the new Hogs are looking at the food that Nats Park's planning to have because some of that stuff just looks absolutely delicious.
Well, just make sure you bring your turtleneck. That's what you'll start off with. Bring your turtleneck. But as far as the food is concerned, you can't go wrong with that good baseball food. You just can't, man. And their prices are very reasonable. That's what I like about Natch Park.
Yeah, I mean it's also good quality. That's the
Hmm.
thing is, I mean, FedEx, they've announced new stuff from time to time. It just it hasn't been good. And those of you that don't even like baseball, some people just go to eat. I mean, they've
Right.
got a taco station, Los Cinco's Tacos. They've got a crate place. They've got a Rita's Italian Ice. I mean, Capital City Mumbo is going to have a stand there. They've got a pimento cheese chicken sandwich. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, baseball is not my game. I mean, obviously, when the Nats won the World Series, I'm there, went to all the games, this and that, and I'll go hang out. But
Hmm.
to me, it's more of a social game because you don't have to pay attention to every little pitch, every little inning until you get to the playoffs. So usually I'm walking around the ballpark with my tailgate Ted jersey on, eating different food, trying everything. I mean, they got roaming rooster, they got pupusas. I mean, I wish FedEx had two-thirds of the food that Nats Park has.
Let's get back to this tailgate Ted jersey. I can't say I've seen the tailgate Ted jersey.
For the Nats games, you got to come out, man. So
Yeah,
much like you,
I'm gonna have to do that, bro, because I've seen the hockey jersey. But I can't say I've seen the baseball jersey. In as many years as I've known you, it always amazes me the things that I find out.
See, I can't put Tailgate Ted on the back of a Wizards jersey because it doesn't fit, and I don't want people to know I'm a Wizards fan because they suck. But yeah, I refuse, like you, I don't want to buy player jerseys anymore. I'm
No,
tired of supporting and giving money for a player that's not here anymore. I don't mind
can't do it.
if it's a legend like, John Riggins or something like that, just to
Yeah.
kind of get him to sign and maybe put up on my wall or something. But
Mm.
if we take Jaden Daniels at 2, I'm not buying a Jaden Daniels jersey.
I was about to say, wait a minute, are you about to buy Jay? But all
Nah,
right, you
zero
calm my
chance.
you calm my nerve down. You said that you wouldn't. So all right, I thought you were about to say
No,
that you would. I was like, wait a minute.
no way. No, the only jersey I thought of a new player, not of new, but of an actual player that I wanted to buy that they never sold was Trent Williams. And I think
Ah,
it's because Trent had a bunch of issues with all the pot stuff and everything else back in the day, and they just
yeah.
never sold his jersey. So to me, he's a team captain, he's an anchor of your offense, and he should have been the face of the franchise, and they never sold his jersey. So I don't think I ever told anyone this. That Tackle My Ride show I did with the NFL Network,
Hmm.
they asked you who your favorite player was. And I said Trent Williams. They didn't select me because they didn't want Trent to be on the show. So for 2 years, I got passed
Oh
up on the
wow.
show.
Wow.
So
Politics.
yeah,
Politics.
man. Third year, I changed it to Ryan Kerrigan because, loved Ryan.
Yeah.
Defensive player. I just, who I played left
Captain.
tackle in high school. Yeah. So I chose Ryan at that point. Boom, got picked. So I'm
First
just saying.
selection.
Yeah. I
First,
mean, third selection,
that's
but yeah.
well, I'm saying as soon as you put him on the ballot, boom, you were good to go. That's crazy, man.
It is. It is. I think it's a bunch of BS because I would have loved to have done the show with Trent. Don't get me wrong. I love doing it with Ryan regardless, but there was just some different things that kind of drive me crazy. So since I never made it, I think Kerrigan was the last player jersey I bought because I had to get Ryan to sign it after, him tackling my ride and everything else. I mean, I had it before then.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm like you, man. Except I don't have my customized game up like you. I see you got your 365 hat. You know what?
Hey,
It's a leap
brother,
year though. We got that extra day. You got to get a 366 hat this year, man.
that won't happen. But 365 is what I represent. You know it. Our listeners know it. The people who have heard of me know it. I rep skins, commanders, football team, 365. Sometimes even when I don't want to. And yes, I get fed up just like everybody else with other shortcomings. But I'm a 365. I'm a four lifer. So hopefully we can have some good things to talk about later this year.
It is
But
nice though. Go ahead,
yeah,
shoot.
I was gonna say, but before we get into that, if you guys like the show, and I hate to sound like I'm always begging, but if you like the show, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You know what I mean? Help us out.
Definitely will. Definitely will help us out. And what's going to help out too is when we find out where our next stadium is going to be. And I think I was listening on WTOP. I think the Redskins were at RFK for 36 years. We're going to be going on 37 years or something like that at FedEx Field. So it'll be the longest tenured stadium for this franchise. And it's not FedEx Field anymore, it's Commander Stadium. And
Commanders, is it Commanders Stadium or Commanders Field?
it could be Field. I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm just glad I didn't get that FedEx Field tattoo. Everyone hates it. I do love the place just because it's our home. I can
It
call my
is.
baby ugly. You guys can't. Obviously our
Yeah.
listeners can. It's fine. But I challenge some of those listeners that they haven't been to a game, like Danny Rouillet from 106.7 The Fan. He hasn't been out to FedEx Field in years. He doesn't go to games. It's like they've made improvements. They've done different stuff there. But
Yeah.
Josh Harris recently, the NFL owners are having their meeting down in, I think it was Miami, regardless, someplace nice, someplace warm. And he was asked about the new stadium. And this is actually what he had to say on where the process is in getting a new stadium. Yeah, look, we've been focused on the stadium. Obviously, you saw the 86 million announcement of what we're doing with FedEx Field, but now we're also focused on our new home. And so, in that regard, we're in pretty deep. We're doing site plans across 3 jurisdictions. We're in deep discussions with Maryland, but at the same time, we're continuing to pursue the possibility of having a site at RFK. And that process is a political process. So the first thing that has to happen is DC has to have the rights to the RFK land. The House agreed to that in a bipartisan vote, but now we need the Senate to act and the president to sign that bill. And then we can really start to have discussions with DC. And so we've made some progress there, obviously, but we need to make more. On what deep discussions with Maryland look like, yeah, I mean, I think that each jurisdiction wants us there, right? So ultimately, it's about kind of establishing really how we might have a dialogue. And that starts with us having kind of a view on what we would do and sort of looking at an overall master plan and overall site plan. And so that's where we are right now. Were you surprised that Harris said they were in deep discussions with Maryland and he mentioned DC, zero word about Virginia, at least in that quote?
No, I'm not at all. And I'll tell you, Ted, the deal is this. We've heard what they want to try to build. They're just not looking at building a stadium. They're looking at building a stadium along with restaurants, along with, different venues. So when I hear that, then my mind says, okay, well, realistically, where is there enough land for this to happen? And I can tell you, and we've talked about this until we're blue in the face, there's just not enough room for that at the RFK site. There isn't, unless you can take over that stadium armory, which we know, I believe it's a national landmark. It's not going to happen. They're not going to move the national armory. So where else could you put what they realistically are trying to do? There's only one place for that. Well, I take that back. There's two places for it. However, one, you already have the surrounding land, and that is Commander's Field or Commander's Stadium. Those parking lots are huge. We've talked about this, and I'm going to continue to say, yes, I would love, for as far as the nostalgia aspect, for it to be at RFK, the RFK site rather. I would. However, when I turn my fan hat around and put my business hat on, it makes sense to be right there at Commander's Field or in Landover, because you already own the land, and you can, while you're tearing down Commander's Field, you can be building up Commander's Nation. How about that?
Yeah.
So that's what I honestly believe, man, and I'm going to stick to that until otherwise changed. How about you?
So I know a lot of people have been talking about RFK, and there's just too much red tape. You've got the
Hmm.
Senate that still has to approve it, and whoever's president at the time still has to approve it, and then DC Council that has to approve it. I don't know if the Hogs want to wait that long. I don't know if they
No.
have that patience because it's all out of their control. You can't control these politicians. I'm sure Magic Johnson's going to go shake some hands and kiss some babies, but there's still a whole lengthy process that comes into that. What you
Hmm.
can control is negotiating with Maryland right now and Virginia. But realistically, like you, I don't want to go to Virginia. I think that Commander's Field, PG, is the best place for the new stadium. I know a lot of our listeners that are going to hear this aren't going to agree with us, but you know what? That's just our opinion. But there's 200 acres already there.
Hmm.
And those of you that forgot, PG County delivered a 89-page proposal back in 2022. So new ownership has come on board. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a new proposal on the back end that they're working on to bring that to new ownership and just go there to try and talk to them, because the government, I mean, they're just so ass backwards with everything. Not trying to get political, but they just can't agree on anything. And they've got a bunch of other priorities going on that trying to give DC the land back or an extension on that lease is the farthest from it. I was shocked though, because during a lot of the conversations, they have tried to stay kind of neutral and not mention a site that they favor more, whether it's RFK, which everyone wants it to be RFK,
Yeah. Yeah.
or Maryland, Virginia. But in this quote from Harris, he neglected to mention Virginia. And maybe just because they're not in deep discussions. And the whole Virginia thing has kind of blown up with the Caps and the Wizards, with DC general counsel basically saying, you can't leave. You signed a contract. It ain't going to
Hmm.
happen. And it never got put for budget approval. So that whole thing is a big fat mess right now. And the Commanders also did say they wouldn't begin negotiating with DC until it gains more control over the RFK site and resolves the Wizards and Capitals situation. So he's not even trying to discuss anything with DC until they figure out what the hell's going on with the Wiz and the Cap. So that's just another wrinkle in this whole
Yeah.
thing for us moving out there. And I can't see where players, if let's just say they move the entire facility to RFK, where the players going to live? You got these guys living in mega mansions out in Ashburn. There's no place in DC for that. And really, on that side of the Maryland border, I'm not seeing any nice places that you can be in. I mean, if I'm thinking Maryland, I'm thinking big McMansions and things like that. I'm thinking probably Potomac, Maryland. I mean, you got the Real
Bowie.
Housewives of Potomac.
Bowie.
You
Yeah,
got some,
Bowie.
okay, so like maybe Bowie out towards Annapolis
Yeah.
that way. And so do you watch Real Housewives of Potomac, by the way?
Negative.
Yeah, same here. So I got invited to the FanDuel Sportsbook opening of their newest establishment in downtown DC.
Okay.
And I'm there with Gary Williams and I'm there with Juan Dixon. And you know who Juan Dixon is.
Yeah.
I put a picture of me and Juan Dixon up. And I don't know how many people replied back and said, oh, what is so-and-so's husband doing there? Like, what do you mean so-and-so's husband? I'm like, not Mr. Tailgate's husband. That's me. Like, apparently he's married to someone on the Real Housewives of Potomac. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I watch Bravo for Top Chef. I don't watch any of that Real Housewives stuff. But I couldn't believe that people did not know who Juan Dixon was. I mean, the man won Maryland a national championship, and he did play for the Wiz at one point. And I'm digressing, but I was shocked that people did not know that it's March Madness and who the hell Juan Dixon is.
Hey, man, they know who his wife is. That's basically all they need to know because of the show. But I hear you, man. It's funny. It really is. But well, let's dive back into this doggone FedEx Field situation. How much money did you say Maryland was trying to give up?
Oh, I don't know how much they're trying to give up. I know that at one point in time with that proposed budget piece, they were talking about it going there, and it was an 89-page document. I don't know if they have upped their proposal back to the Commanders.
Well, I know that they said they were putting so much money into that particular area already.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how much it was, but it was a substantial amount of money.
$1 billion
See,
in that area. Yeah.
That's a lot of money. And for the team or the owners to kind of shuck at it, I don't know, man. And like you said, there's just so many hurdles that they got to go through with DC right now. Maryland right now is and going forward will be the place where that stadium is going to be. I can almost tell you that. I'll change my name from Rally Captain, I believe, if it goes anyplace else.
Yeah, I hope you don't do that. I mean, that's a lot of unstitching you got to do on the back of those jerseys. Just don't stitch it on the flag. But I would rather get a new, nicer, modern stadium on a realistic timetable than hoping the government gets their S together and we get a chance to go back to RFK, because I'm concerned, and I know I've talked about retiring from tailgating if we go to RFK and this and that. I'm just concerned there just isn't enough room, and we're going to have a situation like I can't tailgate for Nats games. I can't tailgate for Caps games. It drives me crazy. It's Nats opening day on April 1st, and I'm going to be eating a hot dog someplace, but it ain't going to be me cooking it. And if we don't have that room, those of you that are saying it's got to be there, just keep that in mind, that if that does happen, what we're kind of used to at FedEx, even though some of you can't stand it, all that open space, that could just go out the way, because DC wants this to be mixed use. It's not just going to be for a stadium. They want to put housing there. They also want to put shops and everything else. And RFK does not have 200 acres.
No, I mean, we go back to the design and for um, the Patriots Stadium and Foxborough. And let me tell you something. For those of you that have not been, you talk about how bad traffic is around the Beltway during the game. Well, you if you haven't been to Foxborough, then you don't know what traffic is really like because it's basically a 5-lane roadway, if you will. That game day they have 4 lanes going in and 1 lane going out. All right, and they reverse it after the game. So, but the whole purpose that they've designed this is they want you to stay and partake in the restaurants and the different shops that they have around there. There are plenty, there's plenty of things to do at Foxborough after a game. There really is. You don't have to leave. Like most people after the game, we want to skedaddle. We want to get out of there. We were trying to get home, whatever. No, they have bars. I mean, eateries, you name it. They even got a hotel, so where you can even stay there if you wanted to. So I just don't see the land at RFK being able to support all that. Also, they're talking about trying to have some type of practice field. The last thing I heard. So, and not in Ashburn. They're looking at trying to do something in Maryland or next to the stadium, wherever the
Yeah,
stadium is going
close
to
to the
be.
stadium.
Close to the
I
stadium.
mean, that's what pretty much all the teams do. You want to have
Yeah.
it close and going from there. And I like you, I don't see it happening. And in PG, they're talking about building a stadium district where you're going to have shops, you're going to have
Hmm.
hotels. They want to even put a convention center out there and everything else. So the fact that they said deep discussions, it gives me hope and also reservations about what's going to happen next because I'm trying to enjoy FedEx as long as I possibly can because I am much like everyone else that's got season tickets. I'm concerned about what they're going to charge us for PSLs at the new place and everything else. And
Hmm.
those of you say, well, hey, you know, no one's going to buy PSLs. That's not true. People are going to, they want to have a chance to be a part of it. And like Rally and we're not giving up our season tickets. So it's what are we going to be able to afford? I know you got 2 seats. I've got 4 seats. So am I going to be able to hold on? Am I going to be able to keep it? I don't know, but it is a step in the right direction of eventually finding out where we're going to go.
Hmm.
I think a step in the wrong direction is what the NFL just announced for the Eagles opener. Did you hear what they're trying to do now?
Oh, brother, I heard it. But let me tell you. So, if the Commanders were playing in Brazil, I'd be okay with it. Why?
You'd be at the
Because
game.
I'd be there. Exactly.
Yeah.
But it looks as if the two teams that I'm really hearing are gathering buzz are the Green Bay Packers and the Browns, Cleveland Browns. Those are the two teams that I'm hearing that are really garnering attention for their opponent, the Eagles' opponents. So I don't have Peacock. I don't want to have to try to get a subscription for a week and then cancel it and go through all that nonsense or try
Yeah.
to that's just foolish to me. And I understand it's all about the money aspect of things and that's the way we're going to be going here pretty soon. Pretty soon I don't even see as the NFL being on regular TV. I see it going to some type of streaming service so that they can make more money, which to me is a slap in the face to the fans. But when it comes down to it, it's greed, man. It all comes down to greed and I don't like it.
Yeah. For those that don't know what Rally's talking about, the NFL opener, the Eagles versus Team X, is going to exclusively be on Peacock. So you have to have Peacock. I'm not talking just NBC. You have to have an actual Peacock subscription
Hmm.
to watch the season opener game, which, okay, they did that this past year for a random game that I didn't care about. That's fine. And if we don't play the Eagles, then we're not going to be able to see it. If we are the local team, and if you're not like Rally going to Brazil for the game, we would get the game regardless because they're not going to make it streaming only. But because most likely we're not going to be that game, if we want to watch it just as regular fans, just because the NFL is finally back after the entire offseason, we got to subscribe to Peacock, get rid of that subscription. They're hoping people forget about it, and then you get charged again. Or I'm just going to go to a bar down the street or
Mm-hmm.
make friends with my neighbor that's got it and watch it there. I just think it's annoying because
Yeah.
Amazon Prime is one thing. The Thursday night games, I don't know anyone that doesn't have Amazon, right? But I don't know more than 3 people that have Peacock. I mean, make it something more common
Yeah.
that people are signing up for and paying for.
I don't think I know anyone who has Peacock, to be honest with you. And I mean, it's not something that's a hey, Rally, I got Peacock. Now I'm sure that once this airs, our fans are going to come out of the woodwork and say, "Man, I got Peacock. You can come over to my house and watch it." Fingers crossed. We'll see. But I think that they're just doing us a disservice, man. And if this is the way that we're going to be going, I mean, the writing's on the wall, man. It really is. It really is.
Yeah, and speaking of disservice, I was excited that Christmas was on a Wednesday this year because I have
Mhm.
missed Christmas with the family the past couple years because of our games. Well,
Yeah.
the NFL mentioned last year that they wouldn't play on Christmas in the middle of the week. Well, they just went back on that and they're saying that they're now going to play 2 games on Christmas Day, which is a Wednesday this year. Do you care or are you annoyed?
I don't like that either. Well, look, okay, let me say this. As long as the Commanders aren't playing, I'm okay. I told you, I don't want to see the Commanders on Thanksgiving or Christmas. Those are my 2 days, but I always seem to get stuck with one, which is Thanksgiving, which, okay, I'll deal with it. But Thanksgiving and possibly Christmas, nah, man, I don't want that. I really don't want that. The only way that I guess I would want it, Ted, is if at that point in time, Thanksgiving, we could probably be what? Is that 10-0? If we're 10-0, then
Okay.
okay, I'll deal with it. I think we'd be 10 games in by Thanksgiving. I'll deal with it. But no, man, don't take that away. But they're gonna take it away from someone, obviously. And you know who's really upset about it? Basketball.
Oh yeah. They own
Basketball,
Christmas.
exactly. The NBA, that was their baby. And the NFL has just whittled their way right into it. And so once again, it comes down to the TV contracts, it comes down to the money, and we get it. But here's the weird thing. So obviously, if you play the game on Christmas or that Wednesday, then your game prior is going to be on that Saturday. So can you imagine seeing 2 teams play on Saturday and then turn it right around on Wednesday? It's kind of like a Sunday and a Thursday night game. So the schedule makers are scratching their heads right now and saying, "Oh my God, they're in a conundrum." But they did it to themselves, so I don't want to hear it. Make sure that schedule comes out on May 9th. That's when it's predicted schedules to come out.
Yeah, I think someone was saying the preseason schedule should be coming out in a week or two, which could care less about. I mean, whatever. But the in-laws have resigned themselves to the fact that, okay, if we got a game and it's Christmas and it's on the weekend, they're just not going to see me for the holidays. FaceTime, whatever. It is what it is. But now it's thinking, oh,
Yeah.
well, looking at Christmas this year on the calendar, it's a leap year. It's on a Wednesday. I'll be good. Now I'm not sure. And, maybe I'll see him, maybe I won't. And I know those of you out there say that's just messed up. Like, you guys don't get it. I'm not missing a home game. God willing, I'm breathing, I'm walking, I'm going to
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah.
So even if it is an away game, depending on where it is, I don't know if I'm leaving or going. And you, I mean, shoot, you had, we played in San Fran Christmas Eve and you almost got stuck out there. You got stuck in,
I
where were
did.
you for like a couple
I got
days?
stuck in Denver.
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. I got stuck in Denver trying to when that whole debacle that they had a couple years back with Southwest. Yeah. Made it from San Fran to Denver and then from Denver just got stuck for 3 days. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess good news is if they make it on, see, we do play on Christmas. Mrs. Tailgate and I are looking at a cruise that following weekend to maybe get out of town. So if that does
Ah,
happen, we kind of get a little bit of a long bye week. And by your
yes.
math, we'll be what, 14-0. So we get that long bye going into like the latter part of the season. So, maybe the guys will get healthy and we'll be good. So it's like having 2 buys for the year. But
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, mark your calendars. May 9th, Rally saying schedule is going to be out. That's other than who the hell we're taking at number 2, that's the next most important thing to me is the
Mhm.
schedule, what's going on, trying to figure it out. Are they going to ruin Thanksgiving for me again? Because personally, I would rather they play on Christmas than on Thanksgiving. That I'm
Uh,
sure for you it's maybe vice versa, but
no, I don't want it
no.
at all. I don't want it at all.
But if you had to choose one, which one would you want to give up?
Okay, Thanksgiving.
Okay, so you'd rather they play on Christmas than Thanksgiving
No, I'm sorry. I'd rather them play on Thanksgiving.
than
I'd
Christmas.
rather, yeah, than Christmas.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I I got to cook on Thanksgiving. I don't want to have to worry about that and then stress about the game. And we hosted a Thanksgiving game. I want to say it was 2017, which was a lot of fun, and we beat the Giants.
The Giants, yeah.
Yeah, but it's such a stressful day, and not everyone is as crazy as you and I are, so they're not getting out there as early, and it's a holiday. So I mean, we'll see what happens. I just NFL, they're making a lot of changes. They actually
Mhm.
went through a bunch of rule changes,
Yeah.
and one of them, well, we'll go over all of them. They moved the trade deadline to Tuesday after week 9. Okay, whatever, not a big deal. They banned the hip whatever tackle.
Hip
Okay,
roll. Yeah, hip
yeah,
tuck. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
I get it. It doesn't really affect me. It really, I'm not saying care less, but I don't think it's going to drastically change the game. One thing that they did do is they are allowing replay assist. So officials can use a replay assist on certain plays in which a flag is thrown for intentional grounding, roughing the passer, or a late hit out of bounds. It can't be used if they don't call a penalty. But on penalties, they can use it to clarify if a defender actually hit the quarterback in the head or not. And this one I actually like because there were so many times last season where you slow it down on that replay, and next thing you know, you think that quarterback got knocked out. He didn't even touch him. He wasn't even close. And I get the refs are human,
Yeah.
but it was just nowhere near it. So I think that this is something that is going to improve the game, especially on some of those sacks that they were calling. And did you see? I think it was on NFL Network where they're talking like doing a demo on how you're supposed to tackle a quarterback now, where you hold him up and then have your teammate put a pillow underneath him before he hits the ground, and you kind of tuck him in with a blanket. I mean,
Yeah.
it's getting comical on how they're
Yeah.
protecting these offensive players.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm hoping that replay happens when it's helmet when they think it's helmet to helmet and there's a penalty because we've seen where guys like, no, man, I hit him on my shoulder. I didn't hit him on my helmet, and they still wind up ejecting the guy because of what they thought. So I'm hoping that goes that far as well because, as you said, they're human. And what I am really interested in is this whole hip spin tackle deal. What if it looks like it, but it really wasn't it? And you penalize that team. I mean, you can tell. Well, there have been times, even for the horse collar, that it looked like it was a horse collar, but it really wasn't. So the refs better be on their game. I mean, really be on their game because otherwise, you're going to be putting a team who's doing a drive or possibly a stop, and now you've just messed the whole momentum up because of that one play, and we've seen it, and that's what I don't like necessarily. You know, you're taking the I'm not going to say the fun out, but you're taking. I get it. It's player safety, and these owners have are paying huge amounts of money for these players. I get it. I just think you're putting a big onus on that referee to make sure that he or she makes the right call. And if they don't, at a critical moment, we've seen it's a drive killer or it helps the other team. So that's my biggest thing, man.
Yeah, and it's the hip drop tackle,
Hip
and
drop. There you go.
it's going to be a 15-yard penalty, and it's when the tackler grabs the runner with both hands or wraps the runner with both arms and unweights himself by swiveling and dropping his hips and or lower body, landing on or trapping the runner's legs at or below the knees. The NFLPA
Mhm.
is completely against this rule. The owners don't care. I mean, they're trying to protect their assets. I also think that they're trying to protect offense and scoring points. And that's really all they care about in this situation. So it's going to be tougher for defenders to tackle people. You know, I
Hmm.
mean, imagine trying to take down Derrick Henry and it's Emmanuel Forbes coming in there without trying to do one of these moves. I'm not trying to pick on the kid, but he's, what, 100 pounds dripping wet?
He's light in the butt. I mean, call
Yeah.
it what it is. Yeah, it is what it
So
is. That it's true.
it's
You
going to
know,
be interesting to see how this
it,
goes.
it for those who maybe don't have the visual, if you've ever watched a rodeo and the guy jumps off the horse and he grabs a steer and he's trying to get the steer down and he lifts his feet up in the air and lands on his butt basically and the steer just falls over. That's what it reminds me of.
So speaking of, how many rodeos did you go to with those cowboy boots you won? Now that you brought up rodeo, I just
Hey, I've been to my share. How about that? All right. Uh,
can you
I've done a
tailgate
lot
for
of things.
rodeos
Uh,
or what's going on?
you can do anything at a rodeo, man. You can do anything. If you can do it in football, you can do it at a rodeo. Let me tell you, I've stepped in enough dung and I've smelled enough to where I don't need to go back. But I've had a good time when I did go. And you trying to dig on my cowboy boots, man? I'm telling you,
I
bro.
just you
You put your
said
feet.
rodeo, and that's all I think about, man.
You put your foot in a nice boot, man, Justin boot. You'd be like, I didn't know they were so comfortable, and you may change your mind.
All
You
right. How
may.
about this?
Uh-huh.
The PBR Ocean City Classic is happening May 31st, June 1st, and June 2nd this year. I got a place for you to stay. Are you going to come up and rock those cowboy boots on the boardwalk?
If I'm not out of town, because that's May 31st, that's kind of a touchy day for me. I may be out of town, but if I'm not out of town, I will seriously think about it. And I let me tell you something. I got a nice pair of boots, some jeans. I can rock it out now. Don't get me wrong, man. See, you don't play with me, Ted. Don't play with
I
me.
just want to see you in shorts in the summertime in cowboy boots in
I
Ocean
wouldn't
City,
be in
Maryland,
shorts. See, there you go. See,
with some Thrasher's fries hanging out, man.
I wouldn't be in shorts, bro. That's not me at all. I'm too cool for that. You know, it could be 100 degrees, but I'm gonna have some jeans and cowboy boots, not shorts and cowboy boots. Come on, brother.
All right, that's fine. Well, maybe we'll have a show pick come middle of June of Rally and his cowboy boots in Ocean City for the PBR Classic. But
Hey,
one last rule that they did change is the kickoff. So it's a 1 year rule. They're going to revisit it after a year. Those of you that watch XFL games, and it's not even the XFL anymore. I think it's a UFL now. Regardless,
yeah.
their season kicks off April 7th. So for those of you going out there, come find me. I'll be hanging out in the beer snake section, drinking,
Okay.
having a good time. But they're changing the rule to be similar with the XFL kickoff. So this is what the breakdown is. The kicker's going to line up on his own 35. The other 10 guys are going to line up on the receiving team's 40.
Hmm?
9 players from the receiving team are going to line up 5 yards in front of them at their 35. Now, here's where it gets somewhat confusing. The kick has to land between the goal line and the 20-yard line. If it lands between there, it cannot be fair caught. It has to be returned. If the ball lands in the end zone, which a lot of kicks did last year, it automatically goes to the 30. It used to go to the 25. Now it automatically goes to the 30. If the kick falls short of the 20 or goes out of bounds, then the ball goes to the 40-yard line. The kicking team and the blockers cannot move until the returner touches the ball or the ball hits the ground. And this is the other part that a lot of people are kind of pissed off about. You can only do an onside kick during the fourth quarter and only if you're trailing. And the team has to tell you that it's coming, and then it goes back to the old school kickoff the way it used to be. That's a lot of changes for one play.
It is. And actually, I'm okay with it all except the last one. They should figure out a better way to give the onside kick because that element of surprise can make or break you. We've seen it happen many a times. I think as far as that, the new setup you're going to see is going to bring more excitement to kickoffs. Whereas as soon as the ball's kicked, guys throwing their arms up, fair catching or whatever have you, you're going to basically force the guy to return the ball, which means that now the special teams coordinator can get himself back into the ball game. Because last year I watched it was USFL, not USFL, but it was the XFL, and they had a couple exciting run backs. So I like it. And I think that collision aspect that between only the 10-yard collision amongst the players, I think that's a good idea. We always talk about player safety. Now let's look at who they're going to put back as a return man. I think you'll find more guys, the speedsters, getting back there, being able to return those kickoffs, and you'll be able to see as I said, the coordinator figure out a way, blocking schemes to help that spring the guy for a touchdown so he can get away.
Yeah, they're saying it's going to look more like a regular play from the line of scrimmage at that point where you'll actually have a chance. And kickoffs were basically, they were boring.
Yeah.
Nothing happened anymore. The ball just got kicked out of the end zone for the most part, or people would just call a fair catch. And even if you fair caught it on the 5, you get the ball to 25. And I don't know a kicker that's going to kick it short of the 20-yard line. So I don't see that being an issue with the ball getting spot the 40. But every once in a while, you get a legal procedure and it goes out of bounds for whatever reason. So it's a work in progress. I did not mind the XFL rules with the kickoff and how it happened. I do think we're going to get a chance to actually see more kicks being run back because the ball's not going to go out the back of the end zone. And it's not going to be a fair catch. And you have to run it if you're between the 20 and the goal line. So you've got no chance but to come out and actually do something. So hopefully it happens because it has been really a waste of time. It reminds me of playing sandlot football and no one would actually kick the ball off. You would just kind of start from the 20 at that point, or the 25, or someone with a rocket of an arm just threw it up as long as they possibly could. And next thing you know, okay, you're running it and going from there. But now they're trying to bring that aspect back into the game, which is going to be fun to see. And they talked about, if they did get rid of the kickoff, just giving the team the ball at the 25. And I'm glad that the competition committee hasn't decided to just go that drastic and just completely eliminate the play.
No, man, you don't want that. You wouldn't want that. That'd be so boring. You talk about declining ticket sales. I mean, you're already taking a lot of the football aspect away. So now if they've done that, people have been really upset, and people wouldn't even want to come to kickoff.
Well, it just gives me more time to go grab a beer,
Yeah,
hang out, just all right, kick off, whatever. But the team did make a couple more signings since the last show. And one notable one is they signed Michael Dieter. Michael was with the Texans last year. He was a center for them. Their starting center actually went down, I want to say in week maybe 6 or 7. So he played the final 10 games of the season and the playoff game against the Ravens. He got drafted by the Dolphins. He was with them for 3 years. Are you surprised that they're bringing in another offensive lineman after we already brought in 2? They brought in Tyler Biadasz and Allegretti to play center and potentially guard? Or are you thinking that we're just so weak they had to do something?
The latter. We have to do something, and I feel we're going to do more in the draft. Could be wrong, but that's just Rally Captain's view. We knew that one of our weakest spots was our offensive line, or we felt that. And now they see it. I'm sure their analytical guy has said, hey, we probably would have gotten XYZ more out of this play if we would have had this player or this position. So yeah, let it happen. Let it happen. We remember, as much as we hate the Cowboys, when Jimmy Johnson was the coach, their offensive line was the bomb. And if we can get back to our old hog days, which I know probably would never happen, but if we could, we saw what our backs could do. So it starts there. let's continue to make it happen.
And I think it was Jim Harbaugh during the owners' meetings where they're talking to the different coaches as well. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, that the offensive line is the single most just unit on the field that isn't reliant on anybody else. Their success is reliant on them and them alone. Like if they don't do their job, like if a running back doesn't do his job, you can still have the offensive line protect and help them out. Like everyone relies on that offensive line to do what they need to do. And on the depth chart right now, they've got Dieter at center. They've got Allegretti at left guard and Sam Cosmi at right guard. So it is interesting because the team drafted Ricky Stromberg. I don't know if this is an indictment on Stromberg. Dieter played left guard and center, but you also brought in Allegretti. So what's going to happen? Who knows? I mean, that's for Dan Quinn and that's for Peters to find out. But they brought in 18 free agents so far. We've got the draft coming up in a little less than a month. What position group still needs help, in your opinion? Where do we need to focus other than, let's just take quarterback out of it. What position group do we still need to improve on?
I'm going to say line. I'm going to say offensive line. It starts there. You got to be able to, it happens in the trenches and it ends in the trenches. So that's what I believe. What about you?
So because they brought in Allegretti and Biadasz, and we still got Cosmi there, and Lucas is slated to potentially, compete, I'm not as concerned as I was before. I'm going to go with shoot.
Lucas isn't a stud though, man. I mean, he's one of these guys. I mean, don't get me wrong, and no disrespect, Lucas. He's not a road grader who you would say, oh yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah.
But to me, when it comes down to it, that offensive line needs to be great.
It does. And this is a very deep tackle draft. I mean, they got a chance to bring in a nice stud. I was texting with Brian Hall, one of our listeners and friends, saying, I hope we trade back up into the first round and we end up grabbing another tackle to have a stud tackle with a fifth-year option. I mean, you don't see a ton of tackles that hit the free agency because good tackles, they get locked up. They don't become free agents. So us trading away Trent Williams is probably one of the worst roster moves that this franchise has ever made. But if we get a chance to actually do it, then great. But for me, our secondary is still too weak. I don't have a lot of faith in BSJ being healthy, and I have zero faith in Emmanuel Forbes right now. And I want them to try and do something to shore that up. And there's supposed to be some good secondary guys in this draft as well, I think, on top of tackle. So fingers crossed they're able to address it. I do know that they've been making moves, and a bunch of the guys, I think it was Austin Eckler, came out and said, why can't we be the Texans? I'm paraphrasing, but they started with a rookie quarterback and started from scratch and were able to make the playoffs. I know a lot of our fan base is thinking the same thing. I just think that if we want to do that and we want to compete, we've got to have a better secondary to help these guys out. And I'm right there with you, though. I mean, I don't think the tackle situation is ideal, but, offensive line, I'm feeling better than I did before with all that. But speaking of which, we got a little bit of an announcement. You and I are going to be going out to the draft. So
yes,
you were
indeed.
always going.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure until this past week if I was going to make it out. Long story short, Riley and I are going to be out there. We'll be out there for day 1 and day 2. And definitely want to meet up with some people. So if we got listeners that are going out to the draft, you guys are going to be hanging out, I wouldn't mind meeting up with people on Friday during the day before we all get down there. And let's just see if we can, maybe turn Detroit upside down. I wouldn't mind stopping at Mom's Spaghetti, M&M's spot out there, checking the place out. And let's just see if we can get Burgundy Gold Nation to represent out in Detroit, man. I think that'd be fun.
Well, I tell you what, when we played Detroit a couple years back, the BNG represented, and that was a rally captain rally that we had down there, and we turned the place out. The manager at the location that I had the rally was like, I can't believe you had so many people here. And I said, hey, our team travels well, plus we've got a large presence in that Midwest area. You know, Michigan is kind of still Mid-East, if you want to call it. I mean, it's West, but it's not Midwest. But nevertheless, a lot of people came to Michigan, to Detroit, to watch us take that L that we did take.
We can leave that part out.
But it was a good time. It was a good time. So, but yeah, we look forward to you guys. Let us know, because we love to meet and greet, and Ted's gonna buy you a beer. So I mean, look, you know,
I'll buy a shot of beer. How about that?
A shot of beer. Okay, we'll just spread it around. All right.
Yeah.
Everybody has a sip of communion cup. Huh?
I'll get a pitcher, and then we'll get little shots I can pour that in, man, and then go from there.
Yeah,
and we just booked another cruise for 2025. I am not buying anything right now.
Hey, you gotta give me the deets on that, because I may be interested in hanging out with you if you don't mind. If the captain rolling with you. All right, man. Well, hey, folks, I hear the music playing in the background, and every time I tell you I hear that music, it lets me know that we are bringing another edition to a close of the DMV Mess Hall. So thank you guys for riding with us. We really appreciate it. Hit that like button, smash it, that subscribe button. We're here for you guys. Holler at us about the draft, because we really do want to meet up with you guys. And remember, you rep it hard or you don't rep it at all. Rally Captain, Tailgate Ted. That's going to do it for another week. Peace.